I'm Gerald Bentley. This is LVWS Confidential. Tonight, we are joined to take a look at the alternative, some of the different menu items on the buffet of pro wrestling in Las Vegas. The professional wrestling professional, Dino Marx of Las Vegas wrestling scene, joins us. And we're going to take a look at some of the pro wrestling that you probably don't know exist. Stay tuned for this episode. Should be fun. Fellow Las Vegan Ryan McKinnell refers to it, the buffet of professional wrestling. Hey, Dino, how you doing?
Hey, doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's the marvels of the internet, right? Work for the same site, but get to meet you over the internet and about 3,000 miles away. But,
that's right.
You know, when people look at the website and they see some of your work, it's not a lot. I mean, you've covered some of the FSW and some of the other events too, but most of what you do, it's not what casual wrestling fans think of. It's not, AEW, Impact, WWE, or I think it's safe to say the closest to, mainstream, what you see on TV, national TV wrestling in Las Vegas is FSW. It's very much a feeder system.
For sure.
What got you into covering some of the other promotions in the city?
Part of it was, I'm always curious about that side of any form of entertainment, and wrestling is no exception to that. And then also half of it was other folks in the office don't have a taste for some of the wrestling that I do cover. So kind of digging in and seeing what this city does have to offer as far as wrestling goes. There really is that buffet aspect to it. There is a lot of different flavors and different presentations available. So while you could have something a little more mainstream, I think it's pretty exciting to go unexpected places and find different types of your favorite wrestling.
Yeah. Well, I guess to give a little more context to it, it's not like Versus, which is probably the second most, kind of mainstream traditional pro wrestling, or Dark Arts don't have regular pro wrestling. I mean, they do. Caljack was a NCAA champion and was in NXT. He's one of the key figures in Dark Arts. Mm-hmm. What makes Dark Arts a little bit different than, say, an FSW, or if you're watching Impact?
What I love about Dark Arts is that they have their own brand, really, and they you can tell that they're excited about it. They're the land of monsters. They really want to put forward that kind of horror.
Well,
pardon me.
They didn't like that. The monsters didn't like it. They cut you off.
No, yeah. Always have to watch my back here. But so they used to be on this this small little venue on First Street, and it was I found out about Dark Arts from a flyer that I found on the street, and I wasn't with the Las Vegas wrestling scene at that time. I knew about FSW and those shows, and we were coming out of the pandemic, and I was looking for new things to experience, and from the flyer went and found this small little, I think it must have been in a house on First Street at one point, and it has this great thick kind of air to it, and it felt like I was in a secret underground pit. I think if you read any of my reviews of Dark Arts, it had that great feeling of an old Van Damme movie where behind a closed door, behind a shutter, you'll find some underground fight club that you can get to experience. So I think what both the size of their performers and the grittiness of it, and then the sideshow aspect to it too. When we get you out here
Well,
to
what
Vegas,
about that?
we'll get you to one of these dark art shows.
Yeah.
So we'll have like 2 or 3 hard hitting wrestling matches, and then a burlesque show involving real live and dead squids, or barbed wire bat burlesque as well. There's additional entertainment than just straight up professional wrestling.
So safe to say there's a little bit more to Las Vegas than just what you see on the strip.
Surely, yes. Yeah, there's fun hidden doors if you're have your eyes peeled for them.
And now to be fair, there is a lot of crossover between the different groups. I know there's people who are wrestling on FSW that are also in Graphouse, that are in Pride Style, that are on Dark Arts, and they really kind of move around from promotion to promotion, which is probably good because it lets everybody get to be more rounded, really.
Yeah, and I think it allows them to like flex different muscles and different approaches to the art of professional wrestling. And I think that's exciting to see the same person in different promotions kind of present themselves in just a slightly different way. Like you always have like, oh, that's definitely Nick Xander, but this is a different side of him that he doesn't exactly show in whatever promotion, for example.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you about one other one that I saw that kind of jumped out at me. Chokehold wrestling.
Yes.
There you are there.
I do love Chokehold.
Yeah, well, tell me a little bit about Chokehold.
Chokehold is a drag wrestling show coming out of New Orleans. Right now, the folks are in Germany doing a drag wrestling kind of camp workshop thing, where you can go learn how to both perform as a drag queen and as a professional wrestler. And for years now, I've always said like these two art forms are very closely related. There's a wonderful dedication to pageantry and over the top antics and all that. So this was a show that came to town, performed in Area 15, which is one of our, I guess, entertainment centers. It's an odd little place. There's a place inside of Area 15 called Portal, where they have projection mapped screens on all of the walls. So you were 360 degrees surrounded by the world of Chokehold, which is sci-fi and drag and cartoon and wonderful, really wonderful. The lady in that photo there is Candy Payne.
Okay.
And she was very I felt safe in her arms. That felt it didn't feel like a stunt. It just like she'll just curl me in her arms for 3 or 4 more reps. I'm sure it was unexpected and fantastic.
That's a different type of multitasking too.
Yeah,
it just shows you. I mean, talking about buffet, I like that analogy that the Busted Open host Ryan McKinnell gives on the weekends. He's from Las Vegas, and what jumps out to me about Las Vegas versus other parts of the country, there's maybe 1-2 promotions. I know Phoenix is starting to really hit now. California has a bunch, but you get into the middle of the country, there's usually one promotion. They do one show a month, and it's very limited. No matter how much they're trying, and they try, it's limited how much exposure, how many repetitions the wrestlers can get in that market without having to go somewhere. In Las Vegas, there's literally everything you could imagine doing, and they really don't have to go anywhere. That's a great benefit, I think.
Yeah, and that's from the performer's point of view. From from a fan's point of view, there's been many weekends where like there's 2 or 3 options of like what am I going to get in this weekend, and we're starting to get those bigger shows. We had SummerSlam, 2021.
Yeah.
AEW Double or Nothing is here regularly, and hopefully for the foreseeable future. And when those big shows come in, all the other indies come in, and we have our own little kind of Mania Week style. So you can catch over a dozen shows within 5 days if you make your schedule tight.
Which will be a great destination if and you can go to the website actually as soon as you get a chance, and you can see that there is an article right now talking about how AEW is looking at making that Memorial Day weekend their permanent weekend in Las Vegas, where they're going to have the pay-per-view and probably Dynamite and Rampage, maybe even a Ring of Honor show in Las Vegas that week. Now, like you said, that allows, if that becomes permanent, that'll allow all the other promotions the opportunity to set up and build up towards that, which is great. I mean, it's terrific for the city.
Yeah, that looks more than likely. Actually, today is, I believe, the 4-year anniversary of the press conference that they had at the MGM Grand, and I was there front row, not really knowing what this promotion was going to be. It was their second appearance after the Jacksonville announcement, and they announced the Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho thing, and I feel like the beginnings of AEW, of course Jacksonville, but Las Vegas is the close second to be the home as far as like their first show, a lot of firsts happened here.
Yeah, and at that time, who would have thought that within this time period, you'd have a weekly contender for the top rated show on cable.
Yeah.
And every week, the number 3 rated show on cable. And now they're starting to do house shows. They're really building up. It shows that there is an opportunity for all the people. And heck, one of the wrestlers from a promotion we were just talking about, the Black Swan. She was just on AEW, made her debut. I believe it was 2 weeks ago on Dark. And this is a match that I wanted to ask you about because it's getting a little bit more into the alternative side. Life After Love, Pride Style 10, taking on the Dark Sheik.
Yeah. That is going to be fantastic. Dark Sheik has made a home here, I believe. It was with Dark Arts for a while.
Okay.
Appearing in Pride Style regularly. Also at a Big Valley Wrestling show during Pride Month. And
Best of the West, I know.
So that's
active in that promotion too.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that one. That one's coming up this weekend. There's a lot of great stuff on that card that's gonna be exciting, and to see Black Swan kind of make those strides. I really only saw Black Swan for the first time myself only a few months ago, and yeah, it really rose in the ranks pretty swiftly
through the Dark Arts training program, I believe, from ballet dancing.
Yeah,
which is it makes sense. Ballet dancing is incredibly difficult athletically, but you don't see that transition too often.
It's really well done. It's like, in like a Street Fighter kind of fighting game, they'll be like, oh, what's your style of martial arts? It's like, and it really works in a good way. It works far better than like Fandango ballroom dancing transition into professional wrestling.
And now with her opponent, the Dark Sheik, I've seen on Instagram and probably at shows, she's referred to herself as the Girl Raven. So what do people see when they see her in a match? What are you getting into?
The persona of Girl Raven has taken over, I think, just like in the second half of last year, maybe a little bit earlier than that. So we have the flannel and we have the comic book shirts and that attitude. honestly, this is, I have to do a lot of research when I recap one of those matches, because there are definitely elements that are references to an era of wrestling when I did bow out. I am
Yeah.
what do you call it? Relapsed wrestling fan. So
there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. I think really AEW and the independents, the FSWs, the Versus,
yeah.
and New Japan really pulled a lot of people back in the last
Oh, yeah.
10 years.
Yeah. I think it's funny. Like, everyone has, I think, for a generation of wrestling fans, it's like, hearing that CM Punk did something crazy last night on that Raw here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So it all comes back to the Sin City.
Combat sports capital of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what they really need to do with Pride Style or Dark Arts, since she's playing up the Raven homages, a
Mm-hmm.
Clockwork Orange House of Fun match.
So how does that work? I'm not familiar with this.
That's Raven's match.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it's every weapon you can think of.
Okay.
And then every 6 minutes, a timer goes off, and one of the wrestlers gets to open a box, which is a present, but the presents are all weapons.
Okay.
And then they get to use those weapons, and it's because Raven didn't get presents, so he gave himself presents in the match.
Okay.
The Clockwork Orange House of Fun match.
At a recent Pride Style last summer against Kid Bandit, who's also a fantastic star that makes their way through Las Vegas regularly. They had a Ravens rules match, but very quickly,
Okay.
match, which is to say there are no rules.
There are no rules now.
An easy stipulation to process, not the overly. Sometimes we have overwrought stipulations where it's like, all right, every 3 minutes, 2 of the competitors have to
Sure.
touch this coconut, and becomes like an episode of Survivor.
Yeah, I think the only rule that ever hurt Raven was making the even flow DDT a illegal move in the match, because that's what he did. Now, kind of veering away from that, another one that kind of jumped out at me.
Oh boy.
This was fairly recent. MicroMania.
So MicroMania was an opportunity for me to really kind of test my dedication to journalism. It was at Little Darlings, which is a 18 and up strip club. I was going to try a euphemism, but no need for that.
Well, it's Las Vegas.
Yeah. Okay. And 18 and up means no alcohol, but also more skin, I suppose. And the showtime I got through a few DMs on Instagram was about 10 o'clock. So I got there at 9 so I could like scope, get a good seat and scope everything out and get ready to observe this show and be able to write a bit of an article about it. 10 o'clock came along, and then 11 o'clock came along, and then 12 and 1. About 1:30 is when that show actually started. So there's maybe an extra 3 hours of politely saying no to every lady that was working that night, and in a cycle. And every time I was trying to decide whether or not my body could take another Red Bull, I was like, this is for Las Vegas wrestling scene. This is for journalism.
Wow.
Yeah, and then when that show finally kicked off, it was good. It was definitely the spectacle I imagined, and that place was packed, and I would say probably 80% for midget wrestling.
Sure, but they had their, you got to get the house has to win. You got to get the house paid.
Yeah.
So I'm getting pretty far into the alternative then.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that is a traveling show that is, hits mostly strip clubs somehow. I think they're demographic for where the venues that they hit up is strip clubs and biker bars. They also did Sturgis a couple
Okay, sure.
times ago. They introduced one of their wrestlers as he's known in Sturgis, Kickstand.
Okay,
It was funny how like they kind of burned all the midget jokes at the top of the show, and then we just coasted
sure.
from then on. But in the photo you're watching there, the photo you posted there, that's
Yeah.
25 cent versus, oh dear, who is that? Oh no, shucks. Well, that's 25 cent, who got that
Okay.
name because he looks good in a bulletproof vest, I suppose.
So, mentioned Dark Arts, mentioned Pride Style. What are some other ones? I know Wagner Mania came in, the Luchadors, and the Delgado Luchador show.
Yeah. So I got to get on that beat as well. And like my luchador experience can definitely use, I could definitely pump that up. I think my most recent experience with lucha would be at the BVW show at Taco Fest, which was
Okay.
pretty great. But
Well, I got my Penta El Zero Miro head right behind me there.
oh, okay.
So definitely great wrestling. It's also regularly there at the Silver Nugget Casino the last few times. Same venue as FSW.
Yeah, Brian takes care of some of those shows, and just it's a
Okay.
thing that I haven't been to any of those, but I definitely want to make that part of the rounds here.
Now, is there anyone that I missed?
Let me think here. It's funny. Like we discussed starting this conversation about the Las Vegas Underground, and sometimes that for me that started like with promotions like Graphouse and Pride Style, but those guys have come along so much in their first year into their second year now that really like they're not exactly underground. So like the
No.
House guys have made a home across the street from the Ferguson as a reliable venue for them, and it's just the perfect place to be when you'll have a show and people just kind of walking Fremont Street will hear the noise, the undeniable sound of the wrestling ring crashing, and be taken in, and they develop their own fan base beyond the underground, I'd say. So
That's good.
let me think if there's anything up and coming that should be great. Um, everyone wants. I think there's a lot of folks that talk about, oh, if I ran a wrestling company, this is what I'd do, and we just have enough people in this town that are ready to pull the trigger on that and actually make that come true.
Well, and great support from the city too, enough that they're able to be supported and they're able to keep going.
Yeah, I think maybe the next closest thing, and like this is just if they keep it up, for the reopening of Hard Hat Lounge, which is one of 4 of the oldest bars in Las Vegas. You could say oldest bar in Las Vegas, but 3 or 4 places say that. So this is one of them. They had a carnival with like a dunk tank and that hammer bell thing. What's the name of that hammer bell?
Test of strength.
Yeah, the test of strength hammer, and then a few rounds of some pretty great wrestling. Not officially under the banner of Graphouse, but we had some Graphouse favorites, and that was the first time I saw Adriel Noctis back in town since he left for Idaho. And I remember being scandalized in the parking lot of Hard Hat Lounge and feeling that I was part of the very beginnings of this rivalry that's going to culminate in the Adriel Noctis versus Chris Mounts match at the next Graphouse.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, they're definitely kind of pulling up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We just had Lazarus on. We've had on Jody, and you can see that they really want to make it work, and they're pulling it together.
Yeah, and I think shortly after the last Graphouse show, we were. It was an oversight by Las Vegas Wrestling Scene, I would say, but they have their own tab at the very top of the page, and they're not listed under other, which is always a great bit of confidence, and also we're not an alternative. We are the choice to be made.
You're right up there, yeah.
Yeah, and we did that, and
Wow.
also has their own history that you get to relive. It's really shocking to me. Not shocking, but like it's a jolt to see that it's Pride Style 10 already, which is pretty fantastic. And I've been to almost all of them. I missed one, but I was there for the beginning of that, and that feels good.
Okay.
Like being there for the beginning of AEW is like, yeah, this is my thing, and I get to tell people about it, and it's like finding an underground band, and they like, they're getting signed to the major label, but they're still just as awesome as they were.
Yeah, no, it's definitely great to see them picking up steam and continuing to grow, because that's the hard thing. I mean, it's hard enough to do one show, but to be able to string together 10 of them and have your audience coming back, and it takes a lot of nerve and a lot of confidence that you're going to have a crowd to schedule a show on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yes. I'm always curious. I'm curious about that. Yeah, that should be interesting to see what the crowd feels like after the Super Bowl. I presume that there might not be so much crossover, or if you're me, having Pride Style at the end of the day will keep me a few White Claws from over.
Yeah, it's after the game's over. It starts, right?
Yes. So I just want to behave myself and make sure that I'm not. I'm still laser focused after the Rihanna performance.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah.
And being here in Kansas City, we definitely want to see the Chiefs pull it off.
So you got a big Sunday ahead.
Yeah, we got a vested interest. And hey, let me ask you this too. Do some work for Top Rank in boxing as well, so you're catching a few of the combat sports.
Yeah, it's interesting. So like I kind of got onto the Las Vegas wrestling scene, lowercase, not the publication. About the fall of 2001, and was working with some of the local promotions, and started doing entrances for them. I was a cameraman for them, and walking backwards in front of the wrestlers as they made their way into the arena, and that has given way into doing that on a bigger stage. You'll catch me doing the entrances on Top Rank across the country. I get to go to. I just flew back from Phoenix, Arizona, which is all Super Bowled out already. You can't walk 10 feet without running into another Bud Light as good as it gets sign. But so now I walk backwards in front of professional boxers instead of wrestlers, and that gets me around the country.
That's interesting. It just shows you how many jobs there are in sports media. You can.
That's right. Yeah.
Get a skill, and they say, hey, you know what we need to make this TV show pop, make this card pop on pay-per-view? Yeah. We need Dino doing the walk-in. Well, hey, you're the champion of the entrance video, but let's go to the championship round here. I'll just ask you a few quick questions.
Alrighty.
What influenced you to get into covering pro wrestling?
Let's see. So, like, my interest in wrestling, like I was saying, recently, it's not relapse fan. What do they used to call it? Anyway, returning fan. Happened in the last 8 years or so, and getting closer and closer to this art form that I was just wowed by in a way that I wasn't when I was a kid. and learning the history of it, and then taking a couple classes, taking a couple of bumps in the ring, getting behind the scenes, doing production, and joining Las Vegas wrestling scene was my way of getting even as close to the art as I can without taking a spill off the top rope or whatever. So
Fair enough.
it's a great way to express my excitement and passion for this sport, and yeah, it's a rare opportunity to, like, of course I'll want to talk about wrestling to whoever will listen, and this gives me a great outlet for that.
Yeah. How about
the curiosity of the city and learning all those little now being I guess the underground correspondent has been an exciting way to travel the city and meet all the different corners of it.
Sure. Yeah. Because there's a lot more to it than just a strip. What
For sure.
wrestler was the most influential to you, or your favorite pro wrestler ever?
Let's see. Interesting. I brought up earlier that CM Punk was the one who kind of got me excited about this thing again, and kind of seeing what, the presentation wasn't as was more nuanced than it was before, as far as I was concerned, and so that was definitely a hook. And then from there, getting in, it was Finn Balor, Prince Devitt that got me to dig deeper, and that's kind of what got me out of WWE and into, like, oh, there's New Japan thing, oh, there's this Bullet Club thing, oh, there's this Young Bucks thing. And at that time I was in LA, so I was able to see some PWG with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega.
Sure.
And then that kind of led to all of that. So if I had to choose a favorite, this will piss off Brian. This will be great. Favorite current working wrestler is Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy, okay.
He's the one if there's a non-fan in the vicinity, I get to talk about wrestling and point to him and use him as examples of, like, and this is how much fun this thing can be that you write off so easily.
Yeah. He's an entertaining person, and you got Danhausen out there with him.
I'll show folks clips of him, and then clips of the oh dear. Oh no, the name slips, but there's a PWG bit, the slow-mo match, which was just,
yeah.
There's 100 names in that bit, but that's another thing I show to people that are right on the cusp of becoming a fan again.
And then, just to wrap it up, what are you looking forward to the most in Las Vegas wrestling this year?
Let's see. We're still early in the year, so there's a lot of stuff that can happen. I think, if you read between the lines, and then if you also read the lines, you can see how excited I am for G Sharp and what he's been doing lately, and currently making a mess everywhere he goes. When his Graphouse, his rise through the levels of Graphouse has been chronicled and storied and brutal. And looks like we have something like that boiling in Pride Style as well. And he's traveling the world and and doing some good stuff with New Japan. So watching that star rise is going to be good throughout the year.
Good name.
Watching Las Vegas continue to become a wrestling mecca, as FSW might have coined, and had the foresight to say, yeah, this will be that wrestling mecca for you guys. So I'm excited to see all the young companies grow. Pride Style 10 this weekend, Graphouse April 8th. These will be the next steps. It's not a show that's just going down the line. It's a show that's taking those
growing
strides
incrementally. Yeah.
forwards. What was that?
And growing incrementally and
Yes.
proving there's space for everybody.
Yeah, and that's really exciting to see. Like, you know, you talked about Lazarus and Jody, and like you could see talking to them that they really want, you know, the passion is something pretty precious and rare, and it's exciting to see.
Yeah, very much so. And it just shows that there is inclusivity and diversity
Oh
even
yeah.
in the underground.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I mean, especially I think maybe especially in the underground is that you know, you'll have your you know, your orphans and your rascals and your misfits that don't exactly fit anywhere else, and they're maybe the most inclusive people that you'll meet. The folks that have faced that kind of adversity. I remember, like, you know, when I in high school, when I felt uh, odd or alone or weird, and like I wasn't with the goths, but I could nod at the goths in the hallway. We
Hmm.
all knew how the world can be, and I think that's also something exciting. Uh, Recently, it was I did that deathcore deathmatch show at
Yeah,
the Mario Bowl, which was just a pool in the backyard of someone's house in downtown Las Vegas, and just this intense music and
a little
uh,
neon too.
yeah, yeah, and so like, you know, and a pretty wonderfully violent, chaotic pit. But if you know anything about a pit like that, if you fall down, you'll have four people try to help you up, and I think that's kind of the same that sentiment echoes in the community. Like, we take
Well,
care of
there
each
you
other.
go.
Yeah,
Well, Dino, it was great having you here, stepping into the ring, and look
yeah,
forward to finding out more about the underground and the alternative. And you
yeah.
can catch us every Wednesday on YouTube. And of course, you can subscribe, Las Vegas Wrestling Scene on YouTube. And of
That's
course,
right.
you can always check out the website that powers everything.
Yep.
Hey, thanks a lot. Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.